Welcome to the Fellas Night Out podcast. We have a very special show for you tonight. We have some very special guests coming on tonight. Let's F and O. Let's go. We have to my bam. We got Red Rebel. We got bam Hawaiian Kandie, and we got my guy bam Scott Rice. You know what I'm saying? I almost want to call you Doctor Rice. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but for sure. Like tonight's topic, man, we are talking about, and it's crazy because men don't talk. You know what I'm saying? I know we've all heard that men don't talk about their, problems and issues and everything like that. So we are gonna try to put that myth behind us tonight. And we are gonna tackle a lot of interesting topics, a lot of good things that'll probably hit home with a lot of people, mental health, and the different ways that looks to everybody. Do you hold it in? Do you express yourself? Are you healthy? Are you, what I'm saying? Like there's different versions. Like me, oh, we're gonna talk about my struggles. I struggle with a lot of this stuff, like communication, um, talking about certain things, you know what I'm saying? Like pride and all that good stuff. So, you know, how you guys feeling, man?
I am feeling great. How
Feeling
are
good,
you?
feeling good. Appreciate
Yeah,
you
feeling
having me
great.
on.
Yep.
Thank you for having me
That's,
on.
man, appreciate you guys for being here. Definitely. Um, in fact, you guys actually brought this, we were talking about, Raider Ball and how emotional that could be. You know what I'm saying? But when we talked about trauma and we talked about emotions, and that actually brought this episode up. So thank you guys for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. You got to bring awareness to, there's a lot of people that struggle, like you said, that don't want to talk because the way they're raised, or and a lot of it's the way you're raised, right? Growing up, it's monkey see, monkey do, right? You look up to your idols, and if if they're raised like that, men got to be tough. Don't cry, suck it up, buck up, little camper, don't be sad. Like all the scenarios. So I think a lot of people live with that and feel like they have to deal it with themselves, right? Being a man, that you don't have nobody to talk to, because if you talk to somebody, you're weak, or if you show your emotions, you're weak. So it's a good subject to definitely get out there. I'm sure that a lot of people can relate. So I hope a lot of people pull up and listen.
For
That's
sure.
something I definitely can relate to as well. Like when I was little, I was a kid who didn't, back in the 80s, they didn't know what ADHD was, and they didn't know what, autism and all those different things are. So when you grow up struggling with things that they don't understand, you're just said, "Oh, you're too annoying, you're too loud, you're too hyper, you're too this, you need to shut up, you need to shut up." So when you're taught to withhold your emotions or withhold what you have to say because you feel like you're being too much, that gets to a lot of people too, and it ingrains in you as a kid, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't talk when I'm older, or maybe I should be more complacent, or maybe I should be more like this and that, just to please everybody else. You become a people pleaser.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't talk about, or at least they didn't talk about it because they didn't think it helped. Like, what good does it do if I sit around and talk about my feelings? But all these years later, it turns out it actually does help, and it can actually make a big difference. And so, like, I think talking about it is really important.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Somebody that gone through it, been through a lot. I've lost everything I've owned 3 times in my life. So from starting over from the bottom and rebuilding, it's a struggle. When you lose absolutely everything, and you don't know where to start, like where to go, what to do. It's rough. It's rough. So talking to people definitely helps. I don't know. Some people go to therapists, but paying money to somebody, I just don't. I think it's just better to talk to a friend, right? To reach out to somebody, or somebody you look up to. But a lot of people are scared to do that because they feel the way people are gonna look down on them or criticize them or whatever.
I think
Yeah,
a
like
lot of that has to do with therapy too. Like some people, for me, for instance, when I was younger, I used to think, "Oh, I can't go to a therapist. I'm crazy. I'll be considered crazy, or I can't do this. Somebody might look at me wrong." Or when you go to talk to a therapist, you're like, "Oh, I don't like what they have to say, so I'm just going to tell them what they want to hear." And that's how I was as a teenager. I'm just going to tell you what you want to hear, so I could get out this office. And so, therapy doesn't always help if you don't find somebody you truly trust and confide in.
Facts.
Yeah,
I
and
think
then
that's important too.
yeah, and even knowing that it's okay to even talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
how Rebel was talking about, like, I grew up in a household, we kidding, feelings and all that. You can rub those in your chest, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's certain stuff that you don't cry, you don't complain, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and if especially like for people that's drilled into as a kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just becomes really, you think it's right, like you think, oh, I'm better than everybody because I'm tough and all this, but it's like, really, we're messed up, you know what I'm saying? Because like people, it's unhealthy, it
Mhm.
it becomes a coping mechanism for us because we're like, oh, I'm built for this, I'm made tough for that, like I can go through this and I'm okay, but am I really okay?
And then
you
later on, you
Yeah.
put your unhealed trauma on others, whether it be a friend or a relationship or something. Sometimes you don't even realize you have that unhealed trauma until you affect somebody else.
Yep.
Or
know?
how much you're hurting, yourself or other people around you by the way you are, because you do hold those in, and then you have those moments where you snap, on people because you don't talk about your feelings, you don't get them out there, and then you just let it bottle up and snap on small stupid things, and that's a problem. That's a problem in a relationship. That's a problem if you have kids, or at work, or if you run a business. That's a problem.
Hmm.
That's what I was gonna say. It might, like, I might go for the yeah, it's okay not to talk about them if it didn't come out in other ways unintended. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it always comes out.
Hmm.
Always,
Always.
it comes out somewhere.
Mm.
And I think that's why you have a
You
lot of
want to hide
those
it.
people that want to fight all the time, right? They people that think that they got
Hmm.
that tough guy persona, and they always got to fight, and that's just anger built up inside, right? Like it's that's just another way of releasing that anger, I feel.
Yep. Agree.
The OGs used to be like, what's inside that angry guy right there is a scared little boy. It was
Right.
like
Yeah,
hella
and
crazy, but just it's true.
that's a
It's
big
pretty
facts
much.
too. A lot of people are, they like that same thing. They just try to, try to act tough, or try to act like they're a badass because, they're hiding really who they're, how they are. And then, they go home and
Hmm.
cry behind closed doors. Right. So,
Yep.
Damn,
That is
sounds
facts.
like sounds like Charger fans right there when I hear that. Yeah. Nah, but yeah, we got some let me see, we got some hot topics right here. Some good questions to kind of, because I know these are definitely like, because when I was going through them, I'm like, damn, that definitely hits home right there. What's the first thing you were ever told to man up about, and how did it change you?
Who's going first?
Who's going?
I can go.
Okay.
I got beat up in school for the first time. I think I was like 6 years old. And my dad told me, he said, you better man up. You better get back up there. And he's like, and take care of it. You know what I mean? And so, like, I had to go take care of it the next day. But, like, it was never any, like, are you okay? Like, how do you feel? I was just like, I was embarrassed and I didn't know what to do with that. And so I turned it into, that was my first instance of turning it into rage or like anger, and then, manning up, so to speak.
Mm.
So I guess I can go second. My first, I guess I was like 10 years old, and this girl, when I was like, I guess I don't even know, she was huge. She was like buffer, and she had mean brothers, and she thought that I called her the B word or whatever, and I was like, I don't even know you. Like, I don't even know you. Well, this girl attacked me, slammed my head into a curb, like went crazy on me, and my brothers, as they were walking past, was like, oh, you're fine, just get up and go, and then went straight home. I was bloody, messed up. My mom obviously made sure my brothers felt afterwards, but I definitely, that was when they basically told, oh, you can deal with it, da, da, da. And I had asthma, so I'm all sitting there having an asthma attack. They're like, you're fine. I'm like, okay, well, I'm either gonna die or I better figure out how to get home. So it was basically kind of like that. I was like, okay, basically I learned I don't have anybody to protect me like my older brothers should. I have to handle myself. And so it caused me to be more closed off, but as well as self sufficient in a way. So it was a good thing, but it was also a bad thing because it taught me that I don't have anybody to rely on at that time growing up.
Mm.
So I think I didn't really have that moment. I was, the oldest of sister and five brothers, so I was kind of, the one that tortured them and told them, suck it up, don't cry. So I think it was the other way around for me, unfortunately.
You're the big mean brother.
Yeah, but they're all tough and they're all doing well. So
Yeah.
except for one, he's got schizophrenia, and that's kind of why this mental health subject touches home for me. Kid can't stay out of prison, and can't get help from the state, can't get help from the city, and they just brush him off. And the kid's 4 years younger than me, so 46 years old, and spent most of his 90% of his life in prison for something that's not his fault, right? He can't control his
Your
issues.
brother's 44. He's a year younger than me. Just so
44,
you know.
but
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a sad thing. So it's not always mental like people think. Mental is crazy or psycho. There's other issues. There's depression, there's PTSD, there's trauma, there's
Well, and
trauma
there's also
bond,
not getting
like
the
her
right
book.
helping.
There's yeah, there's abuse, there's sexual abuse. I mean, there's millions of kids out there, like the Diddy situation, that have been through stuff that they feel like they can't talk about or bring it out. And I think that it destroys your life if you can't talk about it, and you can't face yourself, right? You don't believe in yourself. I think it's a big problem.
And that's something I can actually talk about as well, and that's one of the reasons I've also written my book. I actually changed the name today. I was kind of fixing some things up, but it's basically when love feels like a withdrawal, when you're going through a trauma bond, it feels like an addiction. You become addicted to that person. They're your every thought, your every want, your every need, your every because of the trauma that you go through when you're younger that you don't realize is unhealed. I went through unhealed trauma. I was assaulted as a kid. At 15, when I was first learning about being a woman, I had that taken from me. And so learning through those things and going through those things, you have a hard time opening up to people, Alex. And then when you do, you end up clinging on the wrong ones because you think, okay, this person's going to be there for me. And it becomes the trauma that you're chasing instead of the healed part of you. And it takes years. And, it took me a long time to come out about that. It took me a long time to tell people, hey, I've been through this, because I always, it's my fault. I went through this. I stopped saying no. I did this. And you blame yourself because you don't realize who is on your side and who's not. So you think, okay, I just have to, it's on me. I'll just deal with it and it's fine. It'll go away. I'm still here. I'm alive. I'm this, I'm that. So it's fine. It's over. But you don't realize it's not over. It's not over until you truly mentally, until you truly face it emotionally. And it takes a long time. It's not a one day thing. It's a progress is a process that never stops. You're always progressing.
Facts.
You're always learning. You're always pushing yourself.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing too. Like what are some things that have helped you in that process?
So as
Weed,
far
man.
as me, yeah, lots of weed, lots of weed.
Weed
No, but
helps.
being able to connect with others, being able to talk about it, and I don't mean in like groups, because I was never the type of person that wanted to go to a group. I'm like, I'm not one of those girls. I don't want to look like a victim, because I don't consider myself a victim. I consider myself a warrior. I have went through those things, but I rose above it. I didn't let that traumatized me to the extent that I couldn't live my life, or I got addicted to drugs, or I get something like that. Like, I never got addicted to some drugs. I did get addicted to a person, but it was years later through the unhealed trauma. But I never got to a point where I was like, oh, my life is so bad. I need to do this to cover it up. I didn't even smoke when I started to have those moments, because I thought in my mind, as a ADHD and autistic person, if I smoke, I'm trying to cover it up, and if I cover it up, then I'm trying to be addicted to something. And it was always like a mental process for me. I would break it down into every step. And so for me, just talking about it and finding others who have been like, I thought I was alone, and finding others who have been through it and didn't have anybody else is what helped me. And online, being on this platform with over 80,000 followers, being on TikTok when I used to have 187, Instagram, I have over 20,000, just being on those different platforms and having people just support you that has never met you, and follow your journey because they want to see you succeed. That helps me, being an inspiration to others, being a voice for others that are too afraid to speak up. That is what drives me, and
I
I
think
do this every day.
I think a wise man once told me that if you don't believe in anything, you'll fall. If you don't believe in anything, you'll fall for everything, right? So, whether it's faith in the God, faith in the universe, right? Buddha, whatever you pray to, whatever you believe in, just having that faith, I think, is a big part, right? If you believe, right, in pretty much every Bible there is out there, every religion, they all talk about the same thing, right? If you believe, it'll happen. So the mind is a powerful thing, and the only way you change your mind is, to tell yourself, to talk about it to people, or even talk to yourself, convince yourself that, I can get over this, I'm stronger than this, I can deal with it. And just having faith, right? Having faith that you're strong enough to deal with it and get through it. But if you don't talk to somebody, you're never gonna get through something, bottling something up and just holding it inside. So I think that has a big part of it, just a belief system. If you have, faith. And I know plenty of people that have beaten, diseases that they told they weren't going to beat, just because they believed that they could, right? They believed they didn't have it. They told themselves they didn't. They changed, their diet, their lifestyle, started working out, and, pills didn't help, but, it did. And they beat cancer, and they beat, other things, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So, belief of the mind is a powerful thing, man. So
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Definitely.
But
Guys,
for
I'm
those,
sorry. I'm sorry I'm late. I just walked in and had some
oh
things
no,
to do.
you are
So
good.
yeah. So I'm just
welcome,
listening.
Chris.
Hey,
Yeah.
thanks. I'm just
Welcome.
listening in to what were you saying, Candy and
Mhm.
Rebel and what I observed going through my life, because I had to go through therapy for, not, I don't say mental health, but more or less I was an abusive person. I grew up as
Mhm.
an only child. So when anybody say anything to me, I could take it sometime the wrong way and I start lashing back.
Okay.
But then when you look at it, sometimes you got to almost like look through their eyes. What do they see? How do they see the world? Because they see it totally different than what
Facts.
we see it as. And then I'm sorry, what, Scott?
Yeah.
I think you think it's talking about as far as, your dad will sit there. So you fall down off your bike, they wouldn't come over there. They'll say, rub some dirt on it, get up and go do it again.
Yeah.
Not knowing you need some kind of comfort. That's sometimes moms do that. Most of the time moms do that. But sometimes father figure, like, just get up, rub some dirt, and keep going, and push you further. Then you start having self doubt in your head. Like, can I really do this? Who do I talk to about this? And when I was growing up, there was no such thing as talking to anybody. It was no therapy. Mental health wasn't a big issue when I was a kid. I'm 60 some years old. So it wasn't like, I need somebody to sit down with a therapist and talk about it. And it
Right.
was really, they were there, but it really wasn't a big thing till recently. So I see both of you guys' points.
Definitely.
That's
It's oh
that's
yeah,
another
good.
point too. When you grow up not having that support system, sometimes you end up becoming overly, like for me, for instance, growing up, going through the things I went through, I felt like I withdrew from people instead of getting closer to them. So I felt more alone, even though I had, my mom, my dad, and everybody there. I withdrew from them thinking they're not going to understand. So when I withdrew thinking they wouldn't understand, never given them the option to be that support system, I ended up getting to the point where I overly was protective for my kids. I was overly like a helicopter mom, like, no, you can't do this, you're gonna get hurt. And so they are great kids and they love me for it, but at the same time, they're like, Mom, I could not breathe. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that because I thought, oh no, I didn't hear this enough. So I need to tell you this more. And so I think made me more, it made me more hyper aware of doing those things that I didn't get done for myself. Junior, you're
Yeah.
stupid.
Nice.
Well, I was
Just
just the
ignore
opposite.
Junior Kuro comments are just
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. Let me say
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Chat lives matter.
yeah, chat
I,
Chat
definitely
lives
matters.
matter.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I was just the opposite, Candy, for a while. I had my daughter, and I was trying to give them that tough love.
Mhm.
And I noticed that my daughter didn't want to talk to me anymore. When she was real little, she didn't want to talk to me. She didn't want to be around me. And I said, wait a minute, I'm your dad. You have to love me. No, you don't.
Okay.
You don't have to love anybody.
Nope.
And that's what I felt, for a while. Because I had two sons earlier, but then, I get into dad love. But then I had a daughter first time, had a daughter.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, and I come to realize that everybody's different. Everybody's different character, different thought processes. So, but I didn't treat it that same. So sometimes it takes somebody else to show you the light, and
Yep.
it took somebody to show me, say, "Wait a minute, I think you're going about the wrong way." And I would say, "How you don't know anything? You have kids? No, you probably
Right.
don't.
Right.
But
Right.
Yeah.
outside looking in, they can see things that you can't see inside. Inside looking inside,
Yeah.
and that's what sometimes people have mental health. You got to actually get in there, got almost get in their head and listen to what they're saying, because they might say this, but they actually mean something else
Yeah.
because they can get the words out.
I said it earlier.
Because you don't give them the chance.
Well, no, I'm saying they can say things. They can say the sky is blue, but
Yeah.
they're trying to say the sky is blue, but it's coming out the sky is green.
Oh yeah,
And the point they get the words out, the point that they can't
their
communicate to you the way they want to communicate, because you're on a different level than they are. I ain't saying higher or lower level. I'm saying like
No, just
you don't see
opposite
exactly what they're
planes.
talking about.
right.
Yeah.
Like I was the type of person that, like, when I would go to explain something and it would sound too much like bitching to me, and I'd be like, you know what, never mind. You know what I'm saying? Because like I'd be like, talking about something, I'm like, you know what, hell no, that sounds too much like I'm, either whining about
Whining,
something
yep.
or yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I would just kind of cut it. And that's, I've kind of prided myself on that, because I would never, that would be my out, to never get into stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'd be like, you know what? Nah, we're not good. And I just suck it up, and we keep it moving, and that could be dangerous. Like we talked about, like you can only take so much. We're human. And then at one point it could be over something petty as hell, and it just, that would be the thing that push you over that day.
And when it comes to pushing you over, sometimes it pushes you a little further. Like I had a cousin that was 27 years old. He was the youngest of our baby cousins, and in 2019 he shot himself in the head after Christmas, and he didn't make it. And losing him and not understanding why, because he had our whole family's support. My cousins were close to him. We were all close to him. Me and him were actually talking about him coming out to Colorado that summer, because I lived in Colorado, and he just declined in a bad place when it came to a girl. And then I believe he got addicted to drugs. They didn't really say whether or not he was, but I'm pretty sure with the people he was hanging out with, he was. And he went over the edge and pushed himself. And so, there's days where people go through those things and they feel so alone that they don't feel like they have someone to talk to. And on those days, that's why channels like this are important and chats like this are important, because there are people that don't want to talk to somebody they know, or their family, or even a close friend, because they're worried they're going to be judged by somebody that knows them. But when they can come on a chat and talk to somebody that has never, talked to them, and they're like, oh, this stranger is going through something I'm going through. Okay, maybe I'm not alone. And, things like this are important for people like that, because you never know how somebody feels.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely.
Talk to somebody if you need to. Talk to somebody. Whoever's listening, talk to somebody.
Yeah, that's the key. They have to listen to. That's the key. They have to listen to you.
Yep.
And they have to hear every word you're saying, because you might say one word and they might take it the wrong way. It's like, well, what are you trying to say? So you got to actually sit down and listen to them.
It's just like, drugs. You have to acknowledge you have a problem, or want to quit. If you have no want to, right? If you're happy where you're at doing, what you're doing, you could have all the interventions you want. You can put people in all the rehabs you want to. They're going to get out and do the same shit if they're happy with that life, right? So, you have to realize and recognize you have a problem before you can get healed.
And like you said, some people, even when they have a problem, they know they just don't want to. They don't care. It all depends on the person. You can't make somebody be who they don't want to be. They have to be willing to want it, and be, just in general, you have to be willing to push yourself and want something bad enough more than you want the life you're already living.
Facts.
Sometimes we see things as problems, and people don't see them for this problem.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
and just individually how people feel about them.
Definitely. So, like, it's, for the longest, I thought I wasn't the problem. And I damn sure was the problem to myself, and I think the hardest part, like I think we were talking about that earlier, is, the people that walk around, like they have everything together are some of the worst ones. You know
Some
what
of
I'm
the most broken people.
saying? Yeah.
Yep.
Like
Well,
I heard of
people like that feel like they have to be stronger for everybody else, so they're holding it all together, trying to make everything like perfect for everyone else while they're just shattered, piece by piece.
I mean, you see movie stars and and football players and these people taking their lives all the time, and that's it's a mental thing, right? It's more than
Even
99% of the time it's mental.
even when they're not taking their life, but doing reckless things that cause them to take their life, like people driving recklessly, drinking, or doing drugs, and then doing those things, doing something recklessly is a way of taking your own life if you're making those bad choices. You know what I mean?
And I Michael that experience, because if you are that type of person, you're holding everything in and trying to be that for everyone else, but then you're not really holding it together, right? So you're like, I'm not good enough. I'm not, so it's just like this that goes on. I can't tell anybody, but yet I can't keep it together. And, like there's something wrong. Really hard to go through that.
Yeah.
Well, we got to look at like you said, some of these athletes, superstars, basketball, football, baseball. Where you look at it, movie stars, they have to uphold an image that they're really not, and sometimes that'll take a toll on you because you have to. When you're at home, you can do anything you want to, but when you're going to public, you got to be that standard to keep your image up, so you'll still be well liked. Because a lot of people have what they call, I can't think of the word. Some have low self-esteem, but then portray themselves having low self-esteem. They have to do this, they have to do that. So they kind of like portray themselves as, I'm this guy. Get behind closed
complex,
door, they're totally different.
like a
So sometimes
complex.
so they have mental conflicts with themselves. And, I don't know, having Robin Williams, that could be a problem, but he has said a long time ago that it's the stress of being this guy for everybody else. Because I don't know if you guys remember, he played Mork and Mindy, and he actually missed that in the show, and nobody really heard it till they played it back. Like, you know what? He's saying something, but we're not listening to him. It's just hard to play this person every day of my life. And sometimes it'll take a toll on you.
100%.
Damn, what character are we playing every day? Message? No.
Well, that's a good question. What character are we playing every day? Who are we trying to be? Who we want to be? Sometimes you got to be yourself, and some people don't like themselves that much that they're gonna try to be somebody else, and it just jumbles up in their head.
VR Pilot says, but opening up requires vulnerability, right? And you often get burned, for that. So then you don't. But so then you don't talk, or there has been people that have opened up to people, and like he said, get burned, or feel like their trust, and then you can't trust nobody. So you just start bottling stuff up, right, and don't continue to go back to the cycle of holding everything in. So there's that aspect too.
Yeah, I think yes, because that is true. Because that is why we definitely don't. Because you open yourself up, like hey, whoa, oh, you bitch. You're like, oh, well, damn, well, I ain't never telling nobody else again. Blah blah blah. You go through that whole thing. But you know what? I feel like you're doing the true and honest thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. You said exactly what you felt. Just because their response doesn't mean what you said was wrong. That's how you felt at the end of the day. So it's just kind of really how we take it. We take it like, oh well, they didn't. Oh, because when you try to do something for someone and they don't enjoy it, like say cooking or sing a song or just something you call special. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you think, oh yeah, they gonna love this. And then bam, it's like you feel like you wasted
your kids like the best Thanksgiving dinner, and you're like, oh, that's great, and your kids are like, nah. You're like,
yeah, you're like
25 hours cooking that thing.
You feel me? For
Yeah,
real.
so I had better.
Enough food for 30 people.
talking
Hey,
about
so
this.
I had better. Yeah, I put a fake smile on. Like really.
I
So
know my kids are like, "Oh, your turkey's dry." I'm like, "Do you see the butter dripping off that? Don't be telling me it's dry."
Yeah.
So what's the next question?
Oh, we got why is silence the go-to defense mechanism for most men? No, it's mine. I know it's mine sometimes.
I would say
Um,
most men are too afraid to communicate because of their ingrained way they're growing up. They're told, most men, like in their 40s at least and older, most men in their 40s and older are told, toughen up, be a boy, do this. And, especially if you grow up with a dad real close, your mom is more like, moms are more like, oh, here, it's okay, honey. But, when it's a dad, they tell you to toughen up and, oh, you're fine. Your knees are scraped. It's okay. And I think that's why most men are from what
no,
I
that's
can
not the
tell.
reason. That's
All
not
right.
the reason. That's not the reason. I mean, that's probably partial reason, but I'm gonna say this: when you grow up, I was an only child. When you grow up and you talk and nobody listens to you, you start to think that, what am I saying this for? Why am I talking? You're
Yep.
not. I'm wasting my breath trying to say something to you. And not people like don't listen, don't talk to you, or they say like, yeah, whatever. So you start getting that like, I'm not gonna say nothing then. That's another reason why some of you like just like, I'm done talking. I'm don't want to talk.
Well, I think
So they
that's
shut
also
themselves
kind of
in.
related to it. They're either not heard, or the parents just kind of it's whatever, or you're told not to talk or toughen up. And I think those things are you're ingrained as a kid. Like you're
Well,
either
Kandie, I'm
ignored or
gonna tell you
something
this.
like
I'm gonna
that.
tell you this. I'm experiencing that. Okay, I've been through all that. I was the only child and everything else, and I went through a lot of stuff. So I experienced all that. I just stopped talking. I just didn't want to say nothing. People ask me
See,
questions. I was like, yeah, okay, and then
see,
move on.
I was
I
the middle
experienced all that
child.
shutting in, shutting
Mhm.
myself down because nobody's listening to me.
And see, I was the middle child, so I did everything to get louder and be heard because nobody could hear me. So I got even louder. Oh yeah, here I'll scream, or I'm gonna break your toys and put them in the toilet, or
But
something. Like I made a scene because I felt unheard.
you're a female. I'm gonna say you say you had like males
Well,
do
yeah,
that.
but I didn't
It's a
get.
difference.
Well, I mean, even as a female, though, so I've seen like my little brother did the same thing. Like he threw a scene when he felt somebody else was being heard. So I mean, maybe it's just like a middle child and younger child thing, but we tried to make scenes to be heard louder because we wanted to compete with each other to get attention, or to be heard. And because I was 8 years difference from my little brother, so it was always me and him fighting for attention as the baby. I was the only girl, the youngest girl, and he was the youngest baby, so it was like fighting for it.
Mm. Yeah, that's well. Yeah, I can see that middle. I can see that middle child syndrome. That I
Hmm.
forgot what they call it.
I
But
think it is that. I think that's what it's called. It's like middle
but
child syndrome.
the only child is a lot different because there's nobody to compete with.
Yeah.
Nobody. You're the only child. You're only there. And then also part of that is that when you're the only child, you had nobody to talk to but yourself. Because your
Yeah.
parents are doing their thing, and who are you gonna talk to? Who are you gonna fight with? Who are you gonna play with? Nobody. So that's why sometimes you can shut down immediately when you're trying to talk to somebody. They don't listen. Like, hey, you know what? I'm used to not talking to anybody. I'll just keep on not talking to anybody.
I think the biggest issue is trust. I think
Hmm.
who do you confide in? If you don't trust nobody or have anybody to trust, then who do you talk to, right? So I think people like Pilot said earlier. If you're vulnerable and you show emotions or you talk to people and shit doesn't work out between you. Those people nowadays with the internet and shit could go against you. You don't
Yeah.
know if people are recording shit or got this shit on film. So like
Hmm.
you got to watch what you say or who you say to anybody nowadays. That shit could be spread all over. So I think most of it's a trust issue. Is if you don't say nothing, right, then nobody knows, right? Nobody can hold anything against you, right? Nobody could, I guess critique you or have an opinion about if you're not saying shit, right?
I think that's a good point. For me, it is often trust, right? Like if I don't give up any information about myself, it can't be used against me.
Yep.
Yep.
And like I've had so many instances where I thought I mean, like the person that I was telling would never use stuff against me, and then
And they
they
did.
did,
Yep.
and so that creates like this horrible
Invisible
like
wall.
Exactly. And so, like, I don't want to tell nobody nothing. I just, you know,
Yeah,
You're
you build that wall.
safer.
Like I think people get burned so many times that after you get the more you get burned, you build up that wall. Same thing, with women and breakups is, they stop trusting in guys or believing anything they say, right? They put up that wall and you can't get through. And I think doesn't only hurt yourself, but it hurts the people around you. So I think that's a huge problem.
yep, I agree.
And
I agree with
anyone
that.
out there that has heard this from a cop, hey, tell me the truth, and I'll let you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Oh
You know
my
what I'm
God,
saying?
right?
yeah,
Right.
Sure, just
Like
be honest.
it was my 18th birthday and we were celebrating, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I had I'll call it a party pill, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't, at my mind frame then, I didn't know it was on me. So, the cops like, oh, hey, well, if you have anything on you, let me know. And then I was like, damn.
You're like,
And then, I was like, oh, I was like, I just got, this. Whoa. And then guess where I went?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
you're like, I'll be
never
honest, I'll be
again.
honest.
Right.
Never again. So I,
But
I
that's
was torn. Like I tell you that story just to let you know how that stuck in my mind. Like I said, I'm 41 years old, and like I said, that was my 18th birthday, and I will never ever forget that. To never trust people in those uniforms. You know
yeah,
what
and
I'm
I have
saying?
to agree
I
with you
think
on that.
everybody's raised, with that. At least I was, the where I was raised in, the area, the hood I was raised around is, DTA. Don't trust anybody, right?
Don't
And I
trust
think,
any.
yeah.
Yep.
So I think a lot of people are, embedded with that, and in their DNA, don't trust nobody. And then if you don't ever trust nobody, then I think you have nobody to confide in, right? And nobody to talk to. So I think that's a big thing,
Yep. Take your secrets to your grave.
right?
Oh, I was
Right.
Yeah.
always taught trust no one but yourself. And
Yep.
then sometimes you can't trust yourself because sometimes like things
You know,
decisions you make.
I think that's one of the problems I had growing up, though. I felt that I didn't have anybody to trust, so I overly trusted everyone, thinking, okay, this next person's going to be my friend, and this next person's going to be my friend, and I overly trusted so many people so much because I'm an open book. Like when it comes to things, I like to express what I'm going through because I've learned, holding things in does hurt you. Holding things in does kill you. So I opened up, but I opened up to the wrong people. And when you open up to the wrong people because you trust everybody thinking, I see the good in everybody, everybody's good, everybody's this, it literally ruins you to the point that you move to Hawaii, you disappear for 8 months, you never talk to anybody again, and you hide out in Florida when you move back. That's basically like, I don't go out around people anymore. I don't even hang out with people to go to the beach or anything unless it's my son. Like, I got to the point where I have such social anxiety because I feel like now every single person I'm going to meet is going to lie to me or take advantage of me or use me in some way. And in the last year, I don't know why, but my whole mind went to that mindset where I feel like I can't trust nobody anymore unless it's people I've already known.
Well, you gotta realize some people use your emotions and everything else, looks with everything else, that make
Against you.
themselves feel better and look better.
And that is why I
I'm
cut
not I'm
my
not I'm not
tails.
gonna talk about anybody, but I hope you don't take it the wrong way. But my friends just say used to be I don't have any friends, and that's the reason why I don't. It says you'll make yourself look good, hang around a bunch of ugly people. What sense
Yep.
would that make? You should feel good. You should feel good and look good at the same time. You should have to use other people to make you feel better.
You should be
And
happy
that's
within
that.
yourself.
That's the trust come in. Like another example. I'm gonna use Jason. I'm gonna use Jason. Say I look better than Jason, so I'm gonna use him to make me look better.
Just
And
because you
that's
got
totally
that bald head, huh?
I'm wearing a hat now, so I don't give anybody any ideas.
They like that shiny ball head earlier.
Yeah,
But
buddy.
I think that is though that trusting people and becoming sometimes you go through that trauma to the point that you overly trust and then you trust the wrong ones, the ones that are either dangerous or hurt you. And that's why I've been through some of the really bad things I've been through is because I trusted the wrong people, thinking I could see the good in everyone or oh I could fix that person or I became a fixer, a people pleaser, a here I can Captain Save Ho, like let me save this person. I can help them, and then it got to a point in my life where it was everybody I was helping was just using me for whatever they could get out of me because they're like, oh, sweet, she's just gonna give it, might as well take it. You don't realize when you're a giver, takers have no limits. Givers don't either, so you have to learn your limits.
Can you say that one more time, Kandie, for those that are being taken advantage of right now?
For the
Please.
people in the back, for the people in the
Yeah,
back.
For the people in the back, really, when if you're a giver, it's really hard to stop giving, so you have to know your boundaries because takers have no limits whatsoever.
So true.
Facts.
That's
One other thing I wanted to talk about was like I can't always trust myself either, and that is a particularly hard situation to be in. And I find that a lot of times we, or at least me, I will look for things that just reassure what I already know, right?
Yep.
So like let's just say I can't trust people. So then for some reason I will find people that I know I can't trust, and I'll like unload to them because I know that they're gonna reinforce what I already know, which is I
Yeah.
can't trust people. And that is that's on the verge of not being able to trust yourself. And even that, like mental health and all these things we're talking about are so important because I feel like the brains are always at work, doing something. And if it's not for you, it's against you. And you just there's so many aspects of this.
Right. And confidence is a big part of it. If you if you don't believe in yourself, who will? So,
Yep.
Winners
I
don't
think
quit
that's
and quitters don't win.
a major part is confidence. I think so many people have been just broken down or have had, so many traumas and struggles and shit in their life that they just kind of give up and they just, have nobody to trust, nobody to talk to, and they just kind of fall into a hole, into a rut, and, just live their life miserable.
Yep.
Excuse me 1 second. My dog is trying to get my
Yeah.
attention. I'll be right back.
Yeah, not to steer it like negative, but excuse me, the world kind of keeps us divided. Like we could just see in the football world, you know what I mean? You got 32 teams, you know what I'm saying? Like, and don't let them be in the same room, you know what I'm saying? It'd be damn near almost war. But it's just things like that. Like if it's not religion, if it's not race, if it's not where you live, if it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's like we could take sides with everything. Like, oh, I'm from California. Oh, I'm from New York. It's like the West Coast, East Coast. Oh, it's all
red or blue.
separation.
Like,
that color. Like
black or white, and I think
Yeah.
that's a problem with, not to mean to cut you off, but that's a big problem with the racist issue, right? It's going back to that, how people were taught and how people were raised. I think, if people would stop raising their kids, to believe what they were taught, right? And what they were taught, I think the society would be a lot better off.
Yeah, but you got to realize this. That's not nothing new. That's been, I'll study a lot of history. That's been through the course of history of mankind.
Yeah.
My tribe is better than your tribe. Our women, our tribe look better than your women. Our men are stronger than, it's always been that, always been putting yourself higher than the other people, so that is probably part of human nature. I don't think it's going to change. You know what? It's just more out in the open now because the social media and everything else is putting it out there. But that's gonna never change. That's what never stop as long as we still on this earth.
We're asking
That's the
for
asshole
change.
trait.
Yeah, we're asking for change tonight, though. It'll never change if we never change. You know?
We
can ask for it, but it'll never change. I mean, it'll be hard. You basically have to reprogram people to be androids. Like this is where you're gonna start thinking from now on.
Well, I think we can elevate ourselves. I think we could elevate the situation. Maybe not, be perfect, but I do believe we could evolve on this.
Well, I tell people all the time, I breathe the same air as you do. So there's nobody better than anybody. We're all here. Unless you're a fish
same color.
or you're a bird.
Bleed the same color too when you're cut.
Yeah, there you go. If you stab me, it's gonna come out red just like yours is. So,
but that's society. Society and the government drives a wedge between people because they know united we stand, divided we fall, right? And if we're all together, we're too powerful. So society's gonna keep that in the mainstream media, on YouTube, on every platform, on TikTok, on X, on everything there is. They're gonna constantly push that racism, narrative that we all hate each other and we can't get along. And most of it's because that's what we were taught. So You know,
Yeah.
it's everywhere. And, you know, if they know for a reason that if everybody, you know, was on the same page, that, you know, we're unstoppable. We're unstoppable.
That's the upper echelon of people of the people on top. That's what they want to do. Like you said, go back to the medieval days and all that. You know, you had the royalty on top of the hill, and then you had the people at the bottom of the hill, peasants, and they kept them down there because if everybody's rich and powerful, then nobody's rich and powerful. So they got to
Exactly.
set the standard. They got to set the
And
standards.
nobody
Like
would be above
you have to stay poor so I can look rich.
Yeah,
You
rich
have to have
people need
nothing.
poor people.
You have to have nothing so I can have everything.
Yes.
gotta
Damn.
pay their taxes.
Yep. Facts.
Ooh,
Yep.
come
So what
on.
is your next question, sir?
Yeah.
Let's see. We got this one actually is a very good one. Have you ever been in a dark place mentally and didn't tell a soul? And why not?
In one now. Just kidding.
So, like I said, when I was younger,
I live in one.
When I was younger, I hid the trauma that I went through, the assault that I experienced when I was younger. I went through that and I hid it for a very long time. I didn't tell a lot of people. It was a couple few, but you know, there was just I wouldn't tell anybody a few things that I went through, and it took me a lot of years to say, you know what, it's okay to not be okay. For a long time I didn't believe that, and now that I know it's okay to have a bad day, it's okay to not be okay, it's okay, because when you feel those things you're able to open up to other people. When you're denying it, you're like, no, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. You know, it's like that song, I'm fine. You know, if F is for feeling and I is for I am all right, if N is for not being, you know, okay, and E for every night, like those words really do mean something when they're afraid to connect to others. You tell people you're fine, but realistically, is a lot of people fine? They're not. You know, a lot
Yeah.
of people just hide what they're feeling because, again, we grew up thinking, oh, be tough, be this, be that, or just be quiet because you're not being heard. And so, you know, I think a lot of people need to realize that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to let others know. You're not
You,
weak for it, you're stronger.
You know,
Mm.
that's a really good point. And like, you know, I joked around when you asked the question and I said like in one now. But the truth is I kind of am, you know, like I just went through a really hard breakup that like I had to deal with very true facts about myself that I did not want to deal with, like my personality traits and things like that. And then, you know, and then I find myself at work struggling a little bit to make it, and I'm putting on this face like everything's fine, and I'm the jokester and everything's got to be funny, but I'm like
You're breaking.
I'm in the deep end, you know what I mean? And I just and it's nice to be able to say that. I think that's all I wanted to do with that, is just to be able to
Yeah.
say that's where I'm at right now, and it is
And
okay.
that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So
Yeah.
basically, you was living the false pretenses just to put on a show to make sure that yeah, I'm okay, everybody, but you really not.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that actually makes it worse because if you shut yourself in, you're gonna have that feeling, that mental feeling like, you know, you're there at work, yeah, in front of your friends and everything else. But then when you get home, you put yourself, it goes there. Then that's how
You're
you
sad.
probably more likely get into a depression state.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You
And
know,
that's how
and
it starts. Like I said
yeah,
earlier. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
You still going, Chris?
Hold on,
uh,
I'm on.
I thought you were done. But yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. Is it, you know, it affects your job, it affects your family, it affects your relationships. Not only the relationship you're in, you know, if you're grown and have or don't have kids, but you know, what about the relationship with your brother or your sister or your mother that you don't call because you know you're in this rut that
Yeah.
you know you're used to talking to all the time, or your father, right, that you used to talk to, or even grandparents, right, or older brother, you know, cousin, sister, aunt, you know, those people suffer too. And that, you know, and that
Mhm.
they, you know, a lot of people don't reach out when, you know, you're used to talking to somebody all the time and they just stop calling. You know, you think, you know, everything's all, you know,
Nobody
everything's
cares.
fine and everything's okay. And a lot of people are, you know, afraid just to reach out and check on somebody and say, hey man, are you going, you know, are you okay, are you going through things? And I think, you know, if a lot more people had that in their life, like you were talking about, you know, just coming on and being able to say that and talk about it, you know, I hope it helps, you know, what you're going through. And you know, and you're realizing that, you know, what you're going through is, you know, affecting your job performance and, you know, other aspects of your life. So, you know, hopefully you know, getting that out there, man, could help you, you know, try to ease that pain.
Thank you. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
also, you put yourself in that dark space on saying things. You want nobody to know you having the issue, so they're gonna say, "Oh, what's wrong with Scott? He's crazy." Because yesterday you were
They
a fun
do.
and games. Not today. You're yelling at people, cursing people, and say, "Yeah, he lost his mind." And you don't want to feel that way. Nobody talking about you. Nobody does.
I can actually relate on that topic. So I started streaming full time back in October, and I went from 1,680 followers to now over 80,000. And the reason why is because I got to a point where I stopped trying to be what everybody wanted me to be. I
Mhm.
was always that, oh, let's do my makeup and do this and always be the perfect person. Well, in October, I decided, you know what? I'm going on with no makeup. I'm going to go on and be me. And when I'm having an emotional day, I'm going to show that. And I have went on some days, and you can go back on my live streams where I am screaming at these trolls, and you can see where there's days where I am bawling my eyes out because I started going through menopause and my emotions are so heightened that I got to a point where I was suicidal because I felt worse than a teenage girl going through all this all over again. And I was like, oh my God, how do I handle this? One day I feel like I'm having a heart attack, and the next day I'm bawling my eyes out, and the next day I'm happy as ever. Everybody's like, you're bipolar, you're this, you're that. But they don't realize hormones and emotions and mental health, all that really connects together. If you don't have a good diet, if you don't have enough sleep, if you don't have exercise and all of that, your mental health will decline. If you don't go hiking and you just sit on a couch all day long and eat junk food, your mental health will decline. You'll start to feel bad about yourself. You'll start to feel horrible with who you are. You'll start to feel no energy, no sex drive, no, all these things. Your body will slowly fight against you when you're not doing the things it needs to be
See,
better.
good point, Candy. I'm gonna cut you off. A good point. Sitting on the couch, you want to say, "Well, you know what that does to you?" You sit there, you start thinking about everything.
Yep.
Your mind start wondering. You start putting thoughts in your head like this, that. But if you're active, you do something active. Whether you sit on the couch playing a game with your friends, or you're out there hiking, or anything, it distracts you what you're thinking. But you sit and start thinking about a lot of things.
Yep.
Your mind's gonna start going on overload.
Well,
Yeah.
you can even ask Rebel. Rebel's heard me plenty days where I used to harp on the subject of, oh, my grandma's been dead this many years. Oh, my grandma's been dead this many years. And I would focus on them not being around anymore. And I would focus on that negative aspect instead of
And it
celebrating
pissed
all
me
the
off
good
so
things.
much.
And it would, because for one, being
Like, come
ADHD, I
on, man.
remember
That's like
dates.
40 years ago,
Well, no, but
like remember every single date. Like when that date would come
that's the
up, she'd just
ADHD
be all
thing.
sad and emotional and shit. I'm like,
And I couldn't
bro, how
help
long
it
ago
though.
was it your grandma passed? I mean, I know it's your grandma, but like, why do you, remember that date? Because I lost my aunt at a young kid. I lost a best friend that, got hit by a car on his way to see me on Christmas vacation. That was a good friend for like 3 years. Got hit by a drunk driver and killed. Didn't get to talk to him, 2 weeks before that. So, losing stuff like that, I forgot those dates, right? I blocked them out. My best friend overdosed, 2 years ago. Shit like that. I try not to remember. When my grandpa died, I turned to drugs. I went off the deep end. I started drinking really bad. I started doing everything you could think of. It ruined my family. It ruined my life. I got divorced. Just, from death, right? From dealing with that and constantly living in and, losing my family made me realize like, bro, this is, life and death happens, right? People live and people die. And if, is that where they want you to be, suffering and being miserable your whole entire life because, their time was up? Like that's not where they would want you to be or how, carry on your life. They don't want you to be miserable and sad constantly because they're not around. So, and I think, maybe a lot of people need to hear this and, maybe it'll help some people, but I think that's a big problem is, like my mother for instance, my mother, when my aunt died, it's
like
been
30 years
it's been 30 years, man.
20,
She
30
cries, 2 weeks before, a month after. It's bad, and it's made her where she's just angry, she's bitter, she's sad all the time. It's hard to talk to her because she's just always in a bad place. And recently lost my grandma, and then that's got on her. And I tell her the same thing. Why do you keep these dates in your head, and why do you put yourself through this? Celebrate them and move on. That's where I feel they would want you to do.
Can I say something? I'm gonna say, can I say something right
quick?
quick? Can I say something right quick?
Mhm.
Okay. I just lost my mother 2 years ago. Mother passed away, and I saw her. She was sick. I knew she was eventually going to leave. I saw that. I put myself mentally knowing I'm losing my mother. But then when it happens, you're not really, you think you're prepared, but you're not really
Yeah.
happy about it. But then for a couple of days, I was just trying to put on like a false pretense, like, but then, inside it hurt. So I come home and I'll sit there and think about it. But then, you know what? I stopped myself mid track because the more I thought about it, the more shutting I became, the more depressed and angry I became.
Yeah.
So what I started doing is think about it. I think about what we call celebration of life. That's what I did. I started doing. Instead of thinking about I miss my mom, which I do every day,
Yeah.
I started like, you know what? People feel sorry for me and saying, don't feel sorry for me. I feel sorry for you because she's in a better place.
Yeah.
Another thing I think
Exactly.
about the things she did. My mother was not sitting at home getting old. She went out there and traveled, went to cruises, did all kind of things.
Shout out
And
to
so
mom.
I think about that. I think about when I was a little kid. She just take me out to the zoo and stuff. I think about that, and that would keep me from put myself in a dark place that she's no longer here. But she is here in my heart, but she's not here physically.
And
So
see,
sometimes you gotta like, of course you're gonna miss them, but sometimes you gotta think about. Damn, I remember a time with me and grandma, or me and my mom, or me and my friend. I remember we went on that dope ass cruise, or we went mountain biking and up them hills that nobody goes to. Start thinking about those things, and it'll make you feel better, and you can picture that.
and
That's the way you can handle that.
that's actually what I started doing. I started taking Rebel's advice because last year I had an extreme life change. I sold the house that I was living in and packed up all my stuff, drove around the United States for 3 months with my dog, and then moved to Hawaii by myself with no family, no friends. And it was a very life changing experience. At first, it was great because it helped me to learn about myself and face my own thoughts that were extremely traumatic when I had nobody to talk to at night, and when everybody else is sleeping because I'm 6 hours behind everybody else. And I had to face those mental issues, and I took the time to go hiking when I would feel those things, or go to the beach and listen to the sounds of the ocean and nature, and those things actually got me through. I'd go just sit up because my aunt passed away from cancer in 2016, and the one way I celebrate her is I'll go hiking, sit up on a mountain to just smoke a bowl, because she was the first person I smoked weed with when I found out I had cancer as a kid. And because I used to have cancer when I was younger, from the age of 14 to 33, I had uterine, ovarian, and cervical cancer that I had to fight. And I changed my diet. I watched everyone else in my life who was unhealthy physically, emotionally, mentally, going through, like, my parents, they hid their feelings. They didn't express what they were going through because they told, oh, you need to be tough, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I, growing up, I was, like he said, I'm a girl, so I got a little bit of different experience. I was able to whine about some things and get my way and do these, so I was a little more heard compared to my brothers, or my parents and adults. And so I've learned from those things, not being able to see them express themselves, me being more aware of my own emotions and more accountable to learn how to express myself better, or be more emotionally intelligent instead of having those lash outs. Because I have plenty of days where I'm just like, I feel like a 5-year-old kid, angry that I can't express myself to get somebody to understand what I'm feeling, or I can't get the words out right. And it's frustrating, and I have to learn a whole different way. Being ADHD, being autistic, I have to learn to express myself in a different way so others can understand it without it being overwhelming to them. And I don't remember the point I was going on, but that's another ADHD thing. You kind of forget the story and then come back. But
Yes, you do.
just not being able to express yourself as a kid, it helps you to learn to express yourself as an adult in different ways, or learn how to, that you need the healing to learn how.
Yes, like like Chris was saying earlier, people, sitting around is horrible. You're just constantly thinking it. And my grandma, who just passed recently, used to always say the idle mind is the devil's workshop, right? So if you just constantly, sitting there, you got nothing else to do, like your brain is going to get to you, right?
Oh yeah, and that was what it was. Being in Hawaii, it's toward the end of the 8 months that I was there, it started to feel more consuming being by myself and not being able to connect with others. When before, I had family around me all the time, I might have felt alone, but once I faced those problems, I was like, okay, now I realize I do want community. I don't want to feel alone and withdraw from all these things that I was scared to express. I faced those things, and now I'm like, okay, I can talk to people online, and if they're going to use it against me, well, you know what? At least I'm real. At least I'm expressing what I'm going through and trying to heal through what I have suffered through in my life and experience to be a better person, to try to be an inspiration for others.
I'll say she's one of the craziest people I know, but one of the strongest and weakest at the same time. This girl's a mess.
I can actually agree on that. I can agree on that.
Yeah, there is a difference, you know what I mean, and being strong, and I guess I'll say I'm a good example of not how do you say, letting people, I guess, close, I guess, for all the reasons we said, trusted too many shady people, just been around too many bad type people, whatever. I've been bad type people myself, but the one thing that because like Rebel, you spoke on it too, like because I did the same thing. Like I took like I said, I was adopted. My adopted mom, she passed away in 2014. I wasn't doing the greatest, but after she passed, I just went downhill, and like just pretty much like lost all care for life, and basically just went on a spiral. And by the time I figured out the mess I made, it was like 3 years later, and it literally felt like I went through like a curse. Like I feel like a 7-year curse of just because even when I was trying to do things the right way, everything was going against me still. And I'm just like, damn it. I mean, things were going easier when I was effing up and all this kind of stuff. And like when I look at just the journey now, that it's been a lot. I used to know everybody, and then when I look at my life now, I not cut off everybody, but I just don't deal with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of keep it simple. But it took a lot of like pretty much me working on myself, and not only I didn't do it by myself. Definitely, it took a lot of people in my life to kind of tell me about myself too, because that's one thing too. Yeah, it's easy for us to I make my own image of what I think I am or who I think I am and all this kind of stuff. But when people tell you who you really are, you know what I'm saying? Like I had one of my best friends, he was killed by the police. And he was one of the few, because when I was going kind of like in and out of trouble, drugs and all this kind of stuff. And I was always saying like, oh man, I need to get back to my daughter. And I need to, he's like, bro, if you really wanted to get back to your daughter, you would just do it. You wouldn't be out here, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn. I mean, he was just hit me with like just cold hard facts. And it was as a friend, that was a friend. You know,
that's what you needed. That's what you needed, right? A wake up call.
Well, like I was. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna finish right now. But he told me so much that was just like to hit me to my core, and all I could do is accept it, because it was like, damn, because it's true. I was running away from my responsibilities and just using the drugs and the trouble to, I guess, keep me away from it and all this kind of stuff. And just as I was coping and trying to deal with what I was going through. But at the end of the day, like I missed out on a lot of time with my daughter due to me not being where I was supposed to be, and it was always as good as she was. When I would return, it was always like, damn, like I would feel so bad, like, damn, I'm missing time. And damn, she's gonna hate me and all this kind of stuff. And she would always take me with open arms. And it's sometimes I feel like we go through all this stuff, and there's the shoulda, woulda, couldas and stuff like that. But sometimes I think every situation that we have went through was for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we were able to take it, and maybe get through it, and maybe others aren't as lucky. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I want to say was my grandfather told me something a long time ago, and I remember to this day. This was like when I was like probably like 6 or 7 years old, and it stuck to me, and it still sticks to me. He said, "You know what, son? It's easier to dig a hole and fall in it, but sure, just hard to climb back out of it. So you got to make sure if you're gonna dig that hole, make sure you have a way out.
Make sure you got a ladder.
Yeah,
with a way out. Make sure you can climb way out. If you can't, make sure that somebody's there to give you a hand to get out that hole. Sometimes you need a helping hand to guide you in life to see. Like I said, you always need somebody on the outside looking inside and tell you, but then also may tell you, you gotta listen. You ain't gotta do what they say, but if they tell you something, kind of take it for a grain of salt. Like, is he right or wrong? Sometimes you gotta think about it. God says it's easier to fall, but it's hard to get back up.
Yeah.
Mm. I was very hard headed. I was the kid. If you tell me, hey, don't do this because whoop de whoop, got in trouble for doing this. I'm like, man, I'm not whoop de whoop.
I
You know what
gotta
I'm
do
saying?
it.
Yeah, I was just saying, like,
I gotta do it.
I'm not him. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Like
He didn't do it right.
yeah, exactly.
Well, he got caught.
I could do it. I could do it. I
I
got this. I could do it better than that shit. He didn't do it right.
No, he got caught. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna get caught.
See, I was always the one. Oh, they're gonna get in trouble. I ain't doing that. I ain't getting in trouble. I'm just gonna.
See, that's
stay
a
home.
smart kid right there. I
No,
wish
but
I
I
had to
was the
learn
one
like
that
that.
literally, I never got to go to a party. I never got to do anything till I was married at 20. Before I went to my first house party, I was like, I am lame as shit. And it was my in-laws' house party. So it wasn't even that cool, but they did make their own beer. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah. See,
But
we
yeah,
were
that
that sneak.
was my sheltered life.
We were that sneak out of the window crew. I don't know if you. I was gonna say I don't know if you guys know we were just.
I tried to sneak out the window, and my mom would always be out there like, "Oh, where are you going?" No, I was just checking something. Mom, I was watering the grass.
Yeah.
She was like, "What grass? We live in Needles, California." Okay,
Damn.
sorry. There is
Not
grass.
me. My stepfather was he'll tell me and say, hey man, well, I don't care what you do. I did the same thing. I was your age too. So he'll sit there and I think he set me up for a lot of stuff. He'll leave something like I know I'm not supposed to get into, but he'll put it right there in front of me and kind of test me out. And a lot of times I fail. And got thrashed for it. In them days they used to whip kids with no problem. Now they can't.
He got
Well,
caught
I
coming
think
home
that's
after
the big
sneaking
thing
out.
for these young kids. I think that's the big problem for young kids. They're not disciplined enough as they're growing up through life. I don't believe in that timeout stuff. I believe that if kids mess up that bad, they should be disciplined, whether you hit them or not, or not that violence. But let me finish. Candy. Let me finish, Candy. I was disciplined very much as a kid. I used to hate my parents for that. I couldn't stand my parents. I was like, well, say those. I wish you would just die. I'm running away. Of course, I didn't want that, but thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look back on it, it taught me a valuable lesson because I didn't grow up as a bad kid. I did some bad things, of course, but I wasn't a bad kid because of what they taught me. They let me do things, but then they let me go to a certain far as a limit. Mm-hmm. And then that's when they said they'll bring me back down. I said, okay, that's it.
Lessons, yeah.
Come back to the earth because now you're going too far with it. And I was saying, a lot of these kids now are not getting that. They getting the internet. They all this. So that's their parents.
Yeah. Well, it's also like you say, it's the kids these days. It's like they go in and they're like, "Oh, look, I get a trophy for showing up. It's a participation trophy in life. Come on."
Ooh, I like that topic. That's actually going to be a topic coming up too, because I hate it too. I'm a
bro. I don't care if you showed up. We all showed up.
Yeah, I'm a competitor. You know what I'm saying? So of course, like I want to win. Like I'm not. Whenever I do something, I'm coming to win. And if I get pissed off, like everyone's like, "Oh no, you should be happy that everyone." No, hell no. Because I came to win. Like
there's a time for feelings and a time for not. Like I'm not concerned with whether you feel good about did you win or did you lose? Like you know what I mean? And deal with it later.
Exactly.
No.
Because I remember back in the day, I was in a bunch of fights in school because of course, if you guys don't notice, I'm black. And we moved out. And we was in LA and we moved out to the suburbs where it was mainly white. So
top of that head's white.
In school, I was getting a lot of fights. I was getting a lot of fights at school because they say some things, racist and all that stuff. Not getting a fight to defend myself. The first thing my stepdad asked me, and I get in a fight. Not they was mad at me that I got in a fight. You know what he said? Did you win?
Yeah, that's the only.
That's all you said. Did you win?
Yeah.
The only question.
Who started? I don't care who started.
Yeah,
did you win? He came to the school one day, and he looked at me, looked at the other kid, and he like, And the people say, well, he started it. My dad said, I don't give a crap.
Yep.
Took me
You
home.
better finish it.
Took me to Baskin Robbins and Baskin Robbins. They actually had 31 flavors. So
Right.
he took me there, man. We sat back, and the kid took off half a day of work. And I thought I was gonna get a beating in my life, but he said, "Did you win?"
Yeah.
Then we talked about how the fight started and all that stuff, and I like, yeah. But he also told me, "Don't get yourself in a lot of fights because there's gonna be a day where you're not gonna win.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a real bad day for you."
Because like in winning or losing, like correct me if I'm wrong, but like when I was growing up, like if you didn't win, you felt bad about losing, right? So then
Yep.
you just got better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
they
Made
made
you-
you be
That's
better.
how I thought it worked.
That's how competition is made, right? That's what makes you a competitor, is losing. If you don't ever lose, you're not going to have no competitiveness. You're like, oh, I can just stand out here, pick daisies in the outfield and get a trophy. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, come on, like,
That's actually-
come on, bro.
so-
Like, you out there, the ball's hit and they just picking daisies. Like, oh, the ball, and you ain't even trying. You got no effort, but you got a trophy. Like, what does that show kids in life? Like, you can not even try, and you're just going to have a job and your bills paid, and everything's going to come to you. And
That's
you got
exactly what's going on.
everything you have. Like, so.
It's showing life's going to be easy for now because what you do, you'll get rewarded for. That's what it's showing them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the fight
competition
thing,
shows you how to work for things.
yeah,
Right.
and
Helps you
the fight
learn.
thing too. It builds that toughness where you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose at anything, right? Whether it's fighting, whether it's a game, whether it's at life, whether it's your job. You're always competing, against that next man to get that raise, to get that bonus, or promotion. So it builds competitiveness, it builds fight. Like if you get your ass beat, you don't go back, and try to whoop that dude's ass again, then there's something wrong. Like I know I had a couple fights where it's 3 or 4 times, and I was like, all right, damn, this ain't gonna work.
So to go back on the mental health subject, that's actually something that I became more competitive for competition after my cousin in 2019 committed suicide. Oh God. Never mind, don't mind that. After my cousin committed suicide in 2019, it actually was me deciding, okay, 3 days later, I was in a car with a gun to my head and I was going to kill myself too. And I got to a point where I decided, okay, I'm either going to go to a gym and start working out and change my mental health, or I'm going to just end it all. And I went 3 days later, I went and signed up for a gym, but I got so addicted to that because I wanted to focus on something good. And I joined a competition in 2020 in February for changing your diet, your mental health, your just everything. And I won first place over, I don't know how many people were in the competition, but she had over 12 million followers. And I got first place because I went 7 days a week, 2 hours a day at the gym. I changed my diet. I changed my mental health. I changed my workout. I did everything. I cut out sugar for 45 days. Like I got full into it. And I learned how to be competitive in that. Before that, I was very insecure within myself. I was always, trying to be a better person, or, oh, I'm not good enough. And when I did that, I was like, oh, I could see what I'm capable of. It pushed me to strive for excellence. It pushed me to
that's the key right there. That's the key for anybody struggling is, working out builds not only muscle, but it builds mental, stability. If you set a goal, if you set a schedule, and you're constantly on that routine and you live up to that routine, that'll change anybody's mindset, right?
And not just that, any
and you
sport,
get
like-
addicted to it. Like, the more you work out, like the more it absorbs you, like it takes over, and you can't get enough of it. You don't, you just want to keep doing it and keep doing it. And that it builds, like I said, mental toughness. It builds, that schedule to where you're constantly doing the same thing at the same time, every day, whatever, if it's 5 days a week or 7 days a week. And I think that's the best way to get out of any rut or any toughness is just start working out. I mean, ask anybody that's been in prison, right? How do you get through prison? Working out, bro. Like you work out, that's all there is to do, right? You constantly doing sit-ups, push-ups, pull-ups, chin-ups, whatever you can do, and as many times as you can do them to get through your day, until it's time to go to sleep.
Well, that keeps your mind occupied. For one thing, it keeps you thinking about other stuff. You're doing that. You say, okay, I did 20 sets today. I'm gonna do 24 tomorrow, 25 tomorrow. So that keeps you from thinking about the dark side. and think no other stuff that bothers you because every day is everyday stress. You're gonna be stressed on a lot of things. Where's the bills paid and whatever all crap you think about. But if you find something to do, a hobby, it can be. You don't have to be working out. It can be any type of hobby. Me personally, I used to build models to keep me focused because I was the only child. I build all kind of models,
I
and
thought
that
you
was
said you used to be a model. I thought you said you used to be a model. I was like, I said,
You're
what
like,
the
what
hell?
did you model?
I
in
was a
that
model.
movie?
I was a model in my own mind. Nobody else saw it, but I saw it.
He's like doing runway. He's doing the
I'm saying, I
catwalk.
used to build model. I used to build model cars, model ships, model planes.
Yeah, me
I
too.
used to do that to keep now. That kept me in a good space,
You know,
because I'm
another
the only
another thing
child.
that's
You had nobody. You had nobody to talk to, so you put your thoughts into something. It keeps your mind from wandering.
another thing that's good for mental health, and it was something else Rebel taught me. I used to think golf was stupid, and then he took me golfing one day, and I got
What? No,
I
no,
got
no, no,
addicted.
no,
I got addicted to it. It was so
no.
fun. 10 days straight, I went and played 36 holes one day because I really loved it. He was like, bro, my arms, I was like, let's go again. Like, I felt, and it's really good for mental health. Like, if you are focusing on anything else, you are not playing a good golf game whatsoever.
Golf is stupid to watch, but not to
It's
play.
fun as
It's a
heck to
relief.
play. It's
I used
so
to play
fun to
golf
play.
For
all
four
the
or 5
time.
hours, you don't focus on nothing but that stupid ass little white ball.
Well,
You ain't thinking
Facts.
about your phone. You ain't thinking about
Nope.
nothing. You ain't thinking about your rent problems.
If you think about anything else, you're
And I
not
know
winning.
because we used to I work for myself doing tile a lot, so I always set my own schedule, and sometimes I go to work and be like, man, I just don't feel like working. I have my shit in the car, and then I go golf, and the next thing I know, day's over, and I'll be like, damn, I ain't even going back to work. So yeah, golf will consume you, man. It's a damn good,
There's a
it's
frustration.
like working out.
It's a
It's
great
a
thing for
frustration
depression.
release. It's like you can
Yeah,
sit there
and
and
it's
hit a ball with a stick, and
yeah,
you won't go. You hit something with a stick and not go to jail. So
and
it's
if you
like
have
Yeah.
a
Right.
stress relief.
To
and if
be
you have
fair, I
any
did kill a squirrel. That was an accident. So,
Oh,
I mean,
damn.
you can commit murder on accident. I hit that ball and it landed on the squirrel's head. You can.
Nah,
Allegedly.
Oh, no. No. Rebel
no,
told me I
straight
did
up,
it.
no, allegedly.
He said,
it
he
was
said,
No,
that,
let's
that,
have
allegedly.
that, that, that was squirrel. That was
I got
squirrel
that shit
slaughter.
on.
Squirrel.
I got that
Wasn't
shit on camera.
murder.
We
the world.
literally did.
There's no
World
alleged. I got proof. I got proof.
Believe me, Kandie, if you was a squirrel murderer, I'm gonna have you come to my house because I got a couple of squirrels I'm trying to get rid of because they pissing me off. Like, yeah, since you got
Send me
that
my
tag,
golf
yeah,
club. We
I'm gonna invite
good.
you to my house, kill these squirrels.
Right.
But yeah, man, golf is it's a game that's very frustrating, very fun, and it'll definitely you'll be addicted if you have any kind of
Yes.
competitiveness. If
And
you
I think
go
that relates to working
But
out.
once or
it's a good.
if you
It's
go
a
more
good
than 3 times, like and just you only got to hit one ball in 18 holes, right? And one good ball, and you'll be like, oh damn, like how'd that go so far? And then you're trying to do it, for the rest of your life.
It's a good
Yeah.
frustration. It's like you get
Mhm.
pissed off, like I can't sink this putt, and then you think
But
about
then
it,
you push yourself
then
to
the
do
next putt
better.
you sink, or then you have that one great drive. You can
Yep.
shoot the
Oh
worst.
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
well, you can shoot the worst. You can shoot the worst golf in your life that day, but
That
you
one
go
good
remember that one
drive.
hole that you hit so good that you gonna
Mhm.
also think about, man, my golf game sucked, but that seventh hole, man, I killed it. What about the
I
rest
am
of
a
the 11 holes?
I am a
Well, I
witness.
sucked at it.
I'm a witness.
Right.
Rebel got a hole in one, and he was like, "Oh," like he was all freaking out like a little girl at a candy store. I swear to God.
I mean, shit, you play your whole life to
A
get
hole in
that. So
one?
Yep,
yeah,
he got a
you
hole in
get
one
your
right across the water. Boom. I was
play
like,
your
"No,
whole life to get
you
some
did
shit like
that."
that.
Yeah. That's next level.
Oh, he
Yeah,
did. I was like, you
that was
cheating.
luck.
He's all, how did I cheat? I was like, you cheated.
that was all luck. The little bit of wind,
Yep.
got the heavens shining on me. That was not me. That was all.
But I think
Yeah, that
when it
was
comes to when it relates to sports in general or even working out or anything, I think, when it comes to mental health, you just need to find a hobby and find something to take your mind off what is really affecting you. And if you are really struggling, you have to sit down and be accountable enough to say, you know what am I feeling right now, and why am I feeling that right now, and what can I do to change this feeling, because I don't like this and this is not where I want to be. You can't, I tell people all the time, I used to say, oh, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die, but then I thought, I don't want to die, I want to live. I want this feeling to die, I want this moment to die, I want this moment to stop. So you have to stop yourself if you are suicidal, if you are out there feeling like my life is over, this is the worst thing. You have to stop yourself and say, you know what? Why am I feeling like this right now? What is causing that emotion to feel this way? What am I struggling with? And how can I change that to not feel this way? Not end my life, because that is not an answer. That will hurt
And
everybody around you.
and to me, feeling like that is selfish, right? Because you're thinking about, you want to end your life for the pain you're going through, but you're not
Yeah.
thinking about the millions of people or hundreds of people that care for you, right?
That is not
Your
true, 'cause
family, your
that's
kids,
not true.
your
That's not
parents
true.
that raised you, like everybody else. To me, like, a lot of
Sometimes you
people
feel like you're a
that take their
burden
own
on all
lives,
those people,
are
though.
not thinking. But
Let him finish, Kandie. He's saying you made a good point. Let him finish.
yeah, there's a lot of people that care about you, that love you, that that you're not thinking about. You're just thinking about what you're going through at the time, the feeling that you're in your life, but you're not thinking about all the good things that happen in your life, right? Or all the people that care about you, all the people that are going to suffer. Like, for instance, my mom that I was just talking about, and for 30 years, just suffering from losing her sister, so, and that was a freak accident, but just taking your own life, you don't think about anybody around you. You're thinking, about yourself. And to me, taking a life is just selfish. No matter what you're struggling through or going through, there's always somebody that could help, and there's always, a way to fix it. There's always somebody that, that's out there that cares about you, that could talk you off that ledge. And I think,
Yes.
as far as golf goes, and she was saying, like you were saying, just that one great shot. I think that should be the meaning of life, right? That one great shot, just
You
that
never
one
know when
phone
you're gonna
call
get it.
for somebody saying, "Hey, how are you doing?" Or, just that one smile from somebody when, you're walking, or, how was your day, or a wave from somebody, could just change, change somebody's whole day or somebody's whole life or mindset, or, what they're thinking about or what they're going through, right? Just somebody showing that they care, saying, "Hey, how was your day?" Or, or just coming on here and, being, a YouTube content creator and caring about
Being able
people
to
out
help
there. Like,
others.
I see people in here talking shit, we're soft, or you guys are pussies, or blah blah blah. But I guarantee you ain't nothing soft about me. But
Yeah.
I heard that.
I've been knocked down so many times. I've been up so many times in my life that you can't hold me down, bro. I'm a machine. So people to make stupid comments like that, have never been through shit. I've been through PTSD. I got hit by a dump truck 4 years ago with a full ton of rocks in my door. It hit me, hit my truck so hard that it broke both the doors on the passenger side. I had a chop saw in the back. It busted that completely in half. That's a steel frame chop saw, broke that in half, and I got up and crawled out the other side and walked away. So and it's shit like that
Right.
right. And then and 2 years before that, 2 years before that, on the 4th of July, being stupid, partying, drinking with friends, had a party, everybody left doing dumb shit, and somehow a firework got shot into the house, and I lost everything I owned, burned the house down, lost my dog named Raider for 13 years, and that it took a long time to get over that. It's still still to this day trying to get over it 6-7 years ago. I had 3rd-degree burns on 60% of my body, 2nd to 3rd-degree burns, and you can't see any burns on me. You can't, the doctor said, "Bro, there's no way you healed that fast," right? They told me I couldn't go back to work for a year. I went back to work in 2 weeks. I wrapped that shit up and went back to work. So, the mind is a powerful thing, and belief and faith is a powerful thing. I didn't even stay in the doctor more than 4 hours. I was like, "Y'all have to release me. I gotta go." I got shit to do. I was on a job that paid $12,000, and I was like, "Man, I got to get back. I got to at least get somebody else there to do the job. I can't be in a hospital." So, the belief and faith.
You make a good point, Rebel, what you said earlier. I'm going to cut you off, but sometimes it takes one kind word, just one kind word to somebody who's going through a problem. I mean, because like people have mental health issues. The first thing we think about, they're crazy, and we'll put that crazy, and that's what they keep thinking. They think I'm crazy. They think I'm crazy. But sometimes it takes just one word, one kind word to somebody, like you said, a hello, or how's your day doing, or even a hug. Sometimes it make a person feel a whole lot better than what they're feeling at that moment. Because sometimes you would think about, you're having a bad day. Somebody say, "Man, you're having a bad day. How's everything going?" And you start, just like, eh. And then the rest of you feeling better, but you'll think about that moment somebody said something to you that was positive, in your life at that moment. And that's a lot of things that in society we don't do anymore. Because now this is what we do now, in society. Because I remember back in the day, there was no such thing as these. This is all we do now.
Yep.
Right?
That's true. We
Walk
sit
by
in
as
front of
complete,
people at a table. We
we're
sit in front of
complete
people at a
strangers to
table.
everybody. We're complete strangers to everybody unless you're on my social media. Oh, he's not following me. No, that's a big thing to you. I don't have
Yeah.
one. I don't have 15 followers. That's a big thing. No, I have 15 good friends. That's a bigger thing.
Yep.
Yep. Facts.
Yep. There's
Yep.
one thing I will say that Rebel said, you say that it's selfish, but or you say that sometimes they're not thinking about others and that they're selfish. The times that I was thinking about suicide, when I did have those moments, I was thinking about everyone else, thinking that I was being a burden on them being around. Like I'm always too much. I'm always this. I'm always that. So if I left, maybe their life would be easier. So at that point, you're not trying to be selfish. You think that your mind is messed up because you're not in the right state of mind. So you think I am being a burden. I'm not. Being here is being selfish. So you have the wrong mindset and you don't realize it is selfish because you're leaving people that you thought didn't think about you, or you thought you were a burden on them, and you don't realize that, okay, I guess, you leave thinking their life would be easier without me. So you think it's selfless. You don't realize that sometimes.
The devil's crafty. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yes,
Right.
he is.
And I think the main thing, like, for me, is to understand that, like, this life is the only, like, for me, it's the only real gift I've ever been given, right? And it doesn't always feel like a gift,
Yep.
but it is. And there's not another one coming. And so, like, really just do the most with what you got. And I hope that everybody, like, when you're in that, if you're ever in that space, you're able to think of that. But if not, just hold on till the next day. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no matter what you're going through, somebody's going through something way, way more, way worse, way tougher. So, and like my guy, the 007 says, get in a car accident doesn't make you tough. Either does talking shit behind a screen. So, I'll drop a link if you want to pull up, boy.
I
You know
just
what I mean?
want
Like,
to
Yeah,
talk
but
about
see,
someone in the chat real
Scott just
quick.
said, just just if you have those thoughts like that, people, I'm not, excuse me, I was never suicidal. I never thought about killing myself because I said I'm not hurting myself or anybody what they think don't care. But I was saying
Yeah.
some people don't feel that way.
Yeah.
But it's hard for a person to say how they feel because sometimes they care what they think about them. That's their problem. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't want to tell them my feelings because I don't think I'm
'Cause I
like
might be a
Red said, I'm
burden.
soft.
Mhm.
I'm this and that. I don't want them thinking that. But sometimes you gotta get over the fact that it shouldn't matter what anybody think about you. It
Right.
shouldn't matter what you think about yourself.
Facts.
Because like
And
I think of
It
myself
only
like
matters.
I think of myself. Hey, yeah, I should be a model in my own mind. Yeah, I should be a 6'9" model, man, with all these muscles, man, and bunch of
I
cars and legs. Yeah, I can think that myself. But I know it's not true. That's not reality.
just have a
So much
question.
But if I
cooler
put
online.
if I put myself in a higher thought process where I don't care what you think about me, then I'll be okay. Because if I go by what you think, I wouldn't be here today. And that's what a lot of these people that have these thoughts, like you said, selflessness. Yeah, they do are selfish. I still say they are. They don't think about other people's feelings. They think about their feelings. Still thinking about their feelings. If I take myself out, then I'll feel better. You still thinking about I'll feel better if I take myself out. You still not thinking about how
Yep.
they will feel if you take yourself. Because they still love you regardless of what you
Mhm.
feel.
Yes.
So you take yourself out is making you feel better. You think you won't feel it? Actually, you
Well,
won't feel anything,
you're
but you think you
you're
feel
in
better
belief.
because you're helping them out. No, you're not. You're not helping them out at all.
Yeah, you're
That's
in
what you
belief
think, not
thinking
what
that
they
you're
think.
selfless when you're not.
No, you think about
Yep.
how
Yeah.
you will
Well,
feel
you're
by doing that to yourself,
yeah,
and I think about what they'll feel when you do that.
So when I was going through that, though, when I thought about it, I was thinking, okay, my kids would be better off without me, and they'd be better off with their dad, and because I went through some things and lost some people, so it got me to that point where I was like, okay, I should just end my life, and
But
going through those.
that'll make you feel better.
It made me feel horrible. It made me
That
feel horrible feeling that I felt like such a burden that I would rather be out of my kid's life than ever be there. That did not make me feel better.
no,
That made me feel horrible. It made me feel
that
horrible
would have
and
made you
empty.
if you could live after that. That would have made you make yourself feel better because you feel like I'll feel better if my kids have a better life.
No,
My
I,
kids had a
it
better
didn't
life,
make
or
me
my
feel
husband
better. It
had a
just
better
made
life.
me feel like if I wasn't here, I'm a burden. So if I'm here, I'm just going to make their life horrible. I felt the opposite. It wasn't making me feel better. It made me feel worse that I felt that low enough to want that over being here for them. I felt like if I'm here, then their life would be worse with me in it. I wasn't thinking the opposite. I was thinking if I leave, I'm selfless and they can be better. I wasn't thinking the opposite, thinking, okay, I'm going to be better if I'm gone. I was thinking they'll be better without me. So it was messed up in my own mind through what I've been through and the trauma I lived through. One person in the chat said most people need to complicated, in-depth questions. If you have a question, you guys in the chat about mental health, you're welcome to give us your questions. We would love to answer them for you.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of what y'all saying go back to like I said, the strength of the mind. So I was, you know, let me finish my story. So when I was in the doctor, right, they told me I couldn't go back to work. They said it was going to be 6 months or more because, you know, the burns were ridiculous. I had you know, it cost me like almost $800 in medicine and ointment and wraps and shit. I had to do it 3 times a day, clean them so they didn't get infected. But anyways, like I told them, I was like, man, you know, God is good, right? I'm a machine. I'm gonna be healed. I'll be back to work in, you know, 2 weeks. Your doctor's laughing at me. The nurses are like, man, you're crazy. We shouldn't even let you leave this place, right? So to make a long story short, when I came back in 2 weeks, right, the nurses came in and they were like, they took the bandages off, and all of them, the look on their face were like pure white. They was like, there's no way, man. There's no way. And I was like, I told you I'll be back to work in 2 weeks. I'm a machine, right? It's just the power of mind. So the doctor literally came in, and this is a true story. I put this on everything. The doctor came in, you know, like 20 minutes later. He looked at my burns, and because I was telling him, you know, God is good, right? God is going to heal me. God is good. You know, I made it through this for a reason, right? I'm here for a reason. There's a reason I walked out of that house fire twice. The roof fell in on me the second time trying to save my dog, you know, and there was 3 people standing outside watching this. I blacked out. I don't remember being put on the porch. They said they didn't put me on the porch. I woke up on the porch, right? How I got there, I don't know. So I'm not, you know, saying anything or trying to change anybody's mind, but that's where I woke up on the porch. And then, you know, I told everybody, you know, I'll be back to work in 2 weeks. So the doctor looked at me straight out and he said, man, I don't know what God you believe in, but I think I'm gonna start going to church. Like, and I was, you know, it is what it is. He said, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've never seen anybody heal as fast as you. He said, this is no way it's even possible. He said, the dude that came in here 2 weeks ago had, you know, third and second degree burns on 60% of his body. He's like, man, you couldn't even tell. And you know, they told me I'd have all these scars and shit. And if y'all ever meet me in person, I'll show you. Like I did, you know, cover up this arm with the tattoos, but there's no really visual scars. I have a little bit on my neck, you know, a little bit on my forehead, is a little bit wider, but you know, the scars ain't there. Like I healed very, very quickly. And when I went back, you know, I didn't even have to go back for the second checkup because that shit healed so fast. So, you know, the strength of the mind is very, very powerful, whether it's belief, whether it was God that healed me, you know, whether I just have that, you know, Terminator fucking body where I just, you know, heal overnight, bro. I don't know what it is, but you know, I thought I would just.
I get told I'm John Connor's mom. Are you the Terminator?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So yeah, 100% facts, man. I put that on everything. I got proof, you know, I got witnesses. I got pictures of the burns on my feet, my hands. You know, my hands I think are the worst that kind of show it, but you know, arms were face, ears, you know, it was bad. It was pretty bad. So yeah, you know, God is good, the mind is good, whatever you want to call it. And I ain't trying to change nobody, but belief, man, faith, right? Faith.
God uses us, man. Like he uses people to show how great he is. Like I've been, so I'll tell you what type of person I was too. So every time I would get myself in trouble, I was this one. Lord, if you get me out of this, I swear.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Oh man, like I thought I was the only one because I'd be
Dear
like,
God,
Lord,
just
I
this one
swear,
time, just this one time.
You know how many times I made promises to God I couldn't keep.
You say that. That's funny. A lot of atheists, a lot of people don't believe in God. First thing they do when they're in trouble, oh Lord, please help me. Wait a minute, I thought you said you didn't believe in God.
When you're dying.
All about?
When you're dying,
we could try.
Any atheist on their dying bed to be like, God, please help me. Right? Or save me, right? I don't want, you know, I don't want to go out like this. So yeah.
Every time you're in trouble, you're like, oh my God. Wait, I thought you're an atheist. Well, yeah, but oh my God. Yo, come on now. What is it?
Yep. I think we lost Scott. I appreciate him being on the
I think
show.
he disappeared.
I'm about to, I'm
Yeah.
about to take off. I'm about to take off too in about another 5 minutes.
You got
But
any
I
other
enjoyed it.
questions?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
like 3
We'll
questions.
yeah, we're definitely gonna do a part 2, maybe even a part 3, because mental
Right.
health is definitely a topic that
I think we
we
only got to 2 questions. Sorry.
We did
man.
3, I think. We did 3.
There was a 3, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know
we did
what?
3.
yeah, it
I,
The
was.
Dark
3.
Place
You
one.
know what? Before you
Yeah.
started the show, I looked up some stats earlier after I left the show, the early show. I looked at some stats. You know that like it says 65% people are homeless or have mental health issues. 65%. It's not because they're broke, they can't afford a house. It's that they have mental health issues, and there's not enough hospitals or enough
That
care
can do it.
that will take them. For one thing, the Medicare system, the medical system in the United States is the worst in the world. I
Oh,
think.
it's crap. It's
You
crap.
know, because everybody want the big dollar. You guys go to school to be a doctor, but they want to get the big money, get the big cars, the big mansions, marry a trophy wife or a trophy husband, and that's all they want to do. If you don't have the money to pay for it, then you're shit out of luck. Excuse my language. But like I
People are
said,
very fast on that.
that's the biggest thing. It's like 65% of homeless people have mental health issues. They can't get help. They go to a free clinic and it's like
then they
a
get just
revolving door. They
drugged
come
up.
in there and they go out. Come in and go out.
Well, they
They don't
come
have
in and
nobody
they're
to
like,
sit down
"Here,
and
take
talk
this
to.
medication. Take this medication." They
Yeah.
don't ever. They
They
just
don't have
don't
nobody
cover
else
it
to nobody
up.
sit there and talk to actually
2 minutes,
listen.
so
Like I said,
sure.
listen to what they're saying. They're like, okay, yeah, okay. But next, just like bro, and that's not gonna work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
like
Facts,
Rebel's
facts.
brother. He has mental health issues. My cousin also is schizophrenic, and when COVID went, they literally told him, "Sorry, we can't bring you in the hospitals. We can't do this." So he literally lived out in a tent in the desert just because he didn't have meds and he couldn't go through. Like he had nobody to go to. And so, mental health is like the medical system is absolutely insane here. Not just with mental health, but regular health. I
This period.
had, oh yeah,
We
no,
have the worst.
I had a 7 herniated discs in my neck in 2021, and I lost all feeling in my arm from a pinched nerve for 2 months. And it was every time I went to a doctor just to get an X-ray and MRI, they're like, "Oh, you must be on drugs. You're just coming here to get pills." I said, "No, cut whatever is in my neck out. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, I don't want your drugs. I don't like drugs. I'm allergic to most meds. I smoke for a reason." I said, "I don't want your meds," but they instantly assume, "Oh, you're just coming here for pain meds." I said, "No, I want to know what's wrong with my arm." Like, do an X-ray, do an MRI. That doesn't give you meds. And so they instantly look at people and they judge by, "Oh, you're not the right status of this, or you're not this, or not that." Like I get constant people saying, "Oh, you must be on meth," because I am ADHD beyond belief, and I have to drink coffee to calm down most of the time, and and so it's the medical system, the mental health system, it's so messed up because doctors are not there to help by the oath
They do
that
nothing.
took
They do
anymore.
nothing.
They're there
They
for
do.
the
Well, it's not
paycheck
that.
now.
It's that
They do absolutely
They're there
nothing
for
for
the
my little
paycheck.
brother.
it's
Like my mom's took him the thing, they give him Social Security, so he gets money from the government, and he don't have to
Yep.
work. He don't have to do nothing. It gives him no meaning in life, no purpose in life, right? The kid, he gets money for free, and I think that kind of led to a big part of it. He wasn't like that in the beginning. I think it got worse and worse and worse and worse, where he just started thinking, "Well, damn, I don't ever have to work. I don't have to do shit." And the crazier I act, the more money they give me, instead of trying to fix the problem, and see what the problem is. And like Kandie was saying with the ADHD, like there's a lot of people, our age, Chris, my age, or even, Jason's age, back then, they didn't know ADHD like that. So a lot of
it
these,
didn't exist.
people, they didn't, they had ADHD and what, whatever,
OCD,
OCD,
autism,
and
all
like,
the
Dyslexia,
different things
and
on the spectrum.
all these letters, and
dyslexia,
LBGTQ, and
dyslexia was a thing that he's got dyslexia. Oh, he's just stupid. He can't read.
Yep.
That's all that was. They put their label.
Yeah.
So they actually investigate what the problem was. They fix it by either calling you stupid or crazy, and that solves nothing. And then
Or they put you in
we're the most
special ed and
powerful.
said, "Oh, you're a stupid kid.
We're the most powerful nation in the goddamn world. But yet we have the worst medical system in the world. You know why?
Yep, healthcare.
Greed.
Oh yeah, most countries are there to help the people, and our country is there to get the paycheck first and foremost.
Exactly.
They don't live by the oath that they took as a doctor back in the day.
Not all doctors are like that, but not majority
No,
of them. They got some
there's
doctors that do stuff.
but it's very rare that you find a good doctor, and like you said, most of them aren't in the United States anymore. It seems
Yeah.
like
But
if you're
there's
from here, you're all about capitalism.
But like I
Yep.
was saying, there's not hundreds of thousands, but there's millions of people that just haven't been diagnosed, with
Yep.
depression or
Yes,
Exactly.
ADHD
undiagnosed,
or
like crazy.
autism or PTSD because they don't speak up, because they don't talk about the feelings they have or what they're
Or they're
going through,
afraid of what they're
and
going to be judged.
not
Yeah, exactly,
and
exactly. And they
not a
don't
lot
want to
of
be
people
judged.
want to
They
be
do not want to be judged.
and not
They
a
don't
lot of
want
people
nobody judging them.
nobody wants to, like Kandie. She won't take pills. She got a
Nope.
million different things that, there's pills out there can help, but, won't take them. So, people have
Well,
that issue too. Like they feel like, all these pharmaceutical things, and if you watch all the commercials, take this if you have this, but,
But you'll have
might
20
cause,
other
yeah,
symptoms.
it
might
might
cause your
cause
finger to fall
depression, it might
off,
cause
lose
diarrhea,
eyesight, like
it
your
might
dick's gonna
cause
fall
Suicide,
off,
fucking-
it might cause hair loss.
bleeding,
yeah,
bleeding
you'll
of
never,
the
I'm gonna
sheets.
you'll
I'm gonna
never
fix
shit
one
again. You'll
problem
be
and
pissing
create 5
blood.
more. Like, what the hell?
If you get rashes all over your body that you'll break out in hives,
Yeah.
stop taking
Yeah.
emergency. If you're allergic to this, or this,
Yeah,
or if you're
nothing.
allergic
Exactly.
to anything in it, how do you know you're allergic to anything in that ingredients, right?
Yeah.
So
It's all in small print, real fast.
And
Yeah,
then
we'll
Yeah.
take this to
and
cure
then
this,
we
but
have
it might
the
cause
doctors
5
in the
different other
chat.
things. Now you got to take this
Yeah.
to cure that
Here-
thing.
here,
You got to
take
take
this
that,
and-
take that, take that. So next you know, you're on 15 different medications
Oh yeah,
to cure
no,
some of
so
those side effects.
that is the
instead
thing.
of
I used
instead
to
of
take those
evaluating,
medications
like
though,
you
Rebel.
have
I
to
used
Right,
to
evaluate
take those.
people.
In 2007, I was on Adderall because the doctor said I was ADHD. I was on Xanax for my anxiety. I was on Valium for my insomnia, and they tried to put me on lithium saying I was bipolar, and then they tried to put me on something else, and I was like,
That might
I'm
have been
done
right.
with your med. No, they weren't actually. Those
They're
pills that
doctors.
they
You
gave
don't
me,
know.
I dropped down to 85 pounds, passed out in my shower, and almost drowned. So no,
Hey.
it was not. And they were like, "Oh, you need to take a double dose." I said, "No, I'm not taking your meds." They cut me off. They didn't wean me off of it. They straight cut me off those meds. I had to go through withdrawals from the meds that the doctors put me on for months. And no, I would rather smoke weed and be a little damn crazy with an opinion and cut people off when I talk than ever take another pill and have a doctor controlling me ever. Like I'll learn emotional intelligence a little bit as I go and try to learn to listen better, but I'd rather do that than feel horrible every day or feel like a zombie. And those pills made me feel like a zombie every day. I'd wake up,
And-
I'd routine, I wouldn't live. I was existing. Now at
But that
least
was,
I live with an opinion.
That's just to my point, though. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that don't want to take those pills, so they don't,
Yep.
they won't go to the doctor or talk to anybody or get help because they think they're not gonna, evaluate and assess the problem. They're just gonna say, okay, well, you have this, or take
Well,
this
most
and
of
you'll
the
feel better,
addiction
or
today is because
you
of
have this, take
doctors.
this, and you'll feel better. Like, no, they
Well,
don't do an evaluation process to really see, what the deep down problem is with these people.
Here's the thing, Rebel. Here's the thing. Another stat. I like stats. Men are more likely not to go to the doctor than a woman is. Men do
I haven't
not go to the
been.
doctor because they like feel like I'm strong, I'm healthy. Yeah, I learned my lesson the hard way. I have high blood pressure. Doctors say take these pills. I ain't taking no damn pills. I'm a man. I can live. Yeah, go ahead. And then I had a stroke. Then now I take on pills every goddamn day.
Well,
So,
see,
like I said,
so that's different though. Those pills actually regulate like your blood or stuff that your
You
body
know,
stops
I'm Kandie, you're missing
working.
the Kandie, you're missing the point. I know what they do. You're missing the point I'm trying to tell you. The point I'm saying, men do not generally go to the doctor because they're men. We feel
No, they
strong.
wait
We
until
are
They
strong.
wait until it's too late.
Exactly. The point I'm
That's-
making is that women had to go to doctors because they had the women things they had to take care of. If I had to go to doctor, I'm not going for what? I'm a man. So, I didn't take the pills like I was supposed to. That's probably the reason why I had a stroke. But now I take them now because that Dr. Ray said if you don't, something's gonna happen to you.
So I've
And
been
it
to
At
the
the same
doctor.
time, though,
And
sometimes
that's what I'm
a
saying.
man gets a
That's the
cold
point
and
I'm
they act
making.
like they're dying. You're like, you have a cold. They're like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's me. I would have to feel like there's something, because I'm like that too. I don't want to know, because I don't want to go to the doctor because I don't want to know what's wrong.
You don't want to find out something worse.
Yeah,
by accident.
exactly.
Like, nope,
Yeah,
nope.
exactly. I
If
don't
you
want to
know
know, because then
if
I
you
know
know
you're
you're
gonna
just
have to deal with
You're
it.
just gonna dwell on it. It's just gonna keep eating at you and getting your mind.
Oh,
And
you
just
think you're a
make
man,
the
Or
you
you
problem
just
worse,
forget about
right?
it.
You
just
you
makes-
think you're a
I
man.
forgot.
Hope it
You're a
goes
man.
away.
Just
Your
makes
dad
the
or
problem
your,
worse.
the male figure in your life will sit there and say, "Ain't nothing wrong with you, boy. Rub some dirt on it, you'll feel better." So you
Right.
get that mentality of like, "Yeah, you're all right. You're strong. You can do this." And so, why should I go to the doctor? Why should I pay all this money to go to the doctor when I know I will feel better because I am a man?
right?
That's why we
And
don't go
you
to
know,
doctor. That's one reason why you don't go to doctor. Plus,
Yeah.
it's expensive too anyway. So there's that
You know,
insurance.
that's
as a
one thing
man,
I
yeah,
can
I
say.
know exactly what you're saying. I've been to the doctor twice in the last 30 years, and once when I got hit by the dump truck and had to do the full CAT scan, and the other time was when I was
The
burned
fire.
up in a house fire and had to get shipped to shipped to the hospital in an ambulance for 3 hours because
You
I
know, that's
so I
one
didn't have a
So
choice.
if you go to the doctor for physical problems, what makes you think we'll go to a doctor for head problems? They're
right.
gonna say no.
Facts.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not
No,
crazy. Oh, you
no
guys are
man is
crazy.
gonna go to a
Yeah,
doctor for
it's
a
Yeah,
head.
your
exactly.
crazy ass.
I'm
Rarely,
not crazy.
like
Oh, you guys
rarely.
are crazy. I know what I'm thinking. You're crazy.
I
There's
broke my
it's
foot.
like what probably like what 70 to 90% difference of a man going to a doctor for mental health compared to a woman going to a doctor for mental health. Like it's huge difference. I don't know the exact stats, but I know it's majorly difference because women, we're taught to express our feelings. We're taught to be emotional and be feminine, so we're more likely to go get that therapy, go get that help, go get, that comfort that we're
Well,
not feeling.
the facts are women are crazy. So that's just the
Yeah,
fact.
we are crazy, but
100%.
that doesn't mean
And we
nothing.
all know
Like,
that. That's
yeah,
proven.
but
That's
you
proven.
realize you
That's
all
right.
make us crazy. We start out normal till the men drive us nuts.
Oh,
Menopause,
I,
menopause, right there.
I
Men,
feel like
men.
that used to be the case. That guys used to be all, but nowadays, oh, this is a topic for another show. But
Right?
that
that's a
That's a fine
nowadays,
line. That's a
yeah,
fine line.
Jason.
I
I'm
think
That
saying,
would be a
but still,
marathon. That would
okay,
be a marathon show. That would be like a 12-hour show.
of us that are still, for those of us that are still
yeah.
in the normal 80s era, okay,
Mm.
from the 80s, we still believe that menopause, I'm going through menopause, y'all, the big word right there, men. Men started that.
Yeah,
And
like
I know this because I'm a mother of 2 boys.
yeah.
Y'all
Yeah.
drive us crazy.
I feel like guys are better now than we were.
No, I do agree.
But being like a guy's type of bad is not like a girl's bad of now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
guys just didn't know how to keep it in their pants. You know what I'm saying? It's just hey, I'm a guy. This is what we do. But it's kind of like I feel like girls kind of take things personal. Like I feel like
Extreme.
Well, they do. They're emotional. They're emotional.
Yeah.
yeah, like
They're
I feel like if I, like say we don't do anything out of spite, like it's just hey, we're stupid sometimes and we make dumb decisions. But I feel like girls will be like, oh yeah, okay, well watch this. I'm gonna get your brother, your friend, your best friend, your enemy, you know what I'm saying? Like I know, like I said, that's a topic for another.
That would be a 12-hour show, man, because there's a lot of things to talk about women and men. But times has changed, and of course society has changed along with it. Back in the days, you can go back to the 80s, but you can go back further than that. I remember growing up in the 60s and 70s where the man was a man and the woman was a woman. As society goes through its phases, they're trying to be equal. So
Sorry about that.
we're gonna look at it like this: is that women's still crazy?
Yes, we are.
That was your conclusion?
That
That was your conclusion?
I end with that. No, but we all have our problems. We all have different thought process about how things should work. We all see things through different lenses in our eyes. You know what?
Right.
The
Women
world
are
is
still
it's a
crazy,
different
but
place
the
for
men are the ones
everybody,
that drive us there.
and we got to adapt. We have to. Sometimes some people can adapt to it, so some people can't. The people that can adapt to it does need help, and that's where they get mental health, depression, and all other stuff. But if they don't open up to anybody, it's hard to help them out.
Anxiety plays a
I
role.
was reading Dixon Sider's comment.
What is that?
Which one? The middle between
He said
male and female.
he said male, female, and then you have in between piano man.
Y'all, Piano Man isn't here to. Okay,
Trying to make me choke on my food, dude. That ain't
Piano
right,
Man
bro.
isn't, like Chris said earlier. If somebody isn't here to defend themselves, don't be mean.
I know, but
he
it
is
was
here.
funny.
Never mind, he's here. You can defend yourself. Never mind, you good.
He said,
He was
never
here. He was
I
here a
had your
minute
back,
ago.
Piano. I had your back, Piano.
That shit was funny, bro. I'm
Piano,
sorry.
you're all good till week 2, brother.
I just have to say, Piano is my favorite troll of all.
The clock
I
is
don't know,
ticking, Piano Man.
Between
Yeah.
Piano Man and Tark the Shark, I have to give him some fame. I turned to that troll. He came to my ASMR and was like, I can't hate on you now, Kandie. I was like, yay, I turned a troll.
Well, guys, It's been a pleasure talking to you. I gotta go run. Gotta finish up my fried chicken and everything else. I'm hungry.
Yeah,
Don't
I've
cook
had
me
you
some
guys
fried
hostage
chicken.
enough. Yep. If you leave now, you might be able to get a save. He might save you a plate.
Right? You gonna give me
Just
some
saying.
chicken?
What? Give who? What? Who?
I'm coming over to get some chicken.
Jason, I still got that place saved for you, man. But if you like green fuzz on it, then
Ooh.
you can have it.
You know, I'm trying to quit. I'm trying to quit some green fuzz.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good green. Well, that's a different kind of green fuzz. I'm talking about
I'm like, I like that green fuzz. I just went and did
I'm talking about it was
dispensary run.
I sent you a plate and it has its own penicillin
I
built in.
literally
So
just
there
went
you go.
and did a whole
fantastic.
dispensary run.
I don't like any kind of
Oh.
fuzz.
I'm
Fuzz is
like,
nasty.
dabs.
Duh fuzz,
Oh,
fuzz,
yeah.
a fuzz.
Like
I just
Rebel,
got like 5 grams.
Rebel Kandie. I've had you guys hostage today. You know, this is the
Oh, that's
second
okay.
time. But I appreciate this. This one was definitely like, you know, we love our Raiders, but
Yeah.
this I felt was definitely important too. And like I said, we didn't get through everything, so that means we got room for another show.
I'm coming back.
Yeah, we can get this
I know
topic going.
this coming Sunday, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to visit my family and then just kind of go camping on my own. So I will be gone this next week for 5 days. I'm excited.
Hey,
But,
enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of nice just getting away. But yeah, I can definitely the week after or something like that. We can definitely set it up.
Most definitely. I
Well,
appreciate
Jason, I'm free. I'm free because I'm on vacation for forever.
Nice. I can't wait till I get to that day. I love working. I love, you know, but I mean, I feel like I've been working all my life, and
Yep.
it's about
But-
time to hit the lotto or something to change.
Right?
I got there
gotta
not by choice, Jason. That's the only thing. You can choose. I got there not by choice. It was a medical thing. So
Yeah.
don't wish for it because it'll happen, and that
Right.
might happen the way you want it to happen.
Yeah,
So
be careful what you would. Actually, on that note,
Yeah.
I will agree with you because I was on my way to Vegas. I was going through Vegas after picking up my car, and I was really mad, and I was screaming, "You know what? I hope God just kills me." And I had a flat tire in 118-degree weather. Never, ever tell God. Like,
Ooh.
be careful what you wish for. He will not do it the way you want, but he will do
Yeah.
it. He'll be like, okay, this is what you want. You're gonna suffer first.
I always say God has a sense of humor too.
Oh yes, he
Yeah.
does. Oh yes, he does. Give me a flat tire and 118 degrees. It was not fun.
Yeah, you'll watch your tongue next time, woman.
Right? I will. You know what? It made me a believer for sure. I was like, okay, I'm sorry, please, dear Lord, please just don't do this. I'm sorry.
Hey, whatever it takes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The wrath of whatever God you want to talk about is no joke when it comes.
Right?
I'm living proof. When it comes, it's
Facts.
nasty, bro. It's nasty.
Yeah.
Yes. So until the next time, guys, everybody that came over, you know, if this was your first time seeing the show, don't make it your last time. You know what I mean? And
Go show some love.
shh, yay, you guys.
Hey,
oh
when
yeah,
you
go.
sign up, stay sweet for me. I don't even talk to you about something. But
Okay, got you. And yeah, we will do this again too. Like I said, we will talk about all kind of topics. So we're going to touch on things that not a lot of people get to talk about. So if you want to talk about it, come here. We can talk about it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
until the next time, what do you guys got? If you guys got anything going, please let them know.
No, I'm
Roll up, pack
other
up,
than-
pull up any night.
Right,
I'm live
anytime,
pretty much, except for the
Hey,
weekends.
Rob, hit me up on IG, man. If you want to join your show one day, I'll be happy to join you.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime. Are we not friends on IG? We're friends on IG, right?
Yeah, we should be. I'll have you, man.
Yeah.
If
all
not,
right. Yeah, for
if
sure.
not, it's Chris for Raiders. You can just hit that about exception.
Thank you, D-Menace, who I'm not
Absolutely,
sure who D-Menace
absolutely.
sent
D-Menace,
I would be honored to have you on the show.
a legend.
Shout out to D Menace with the $5
dollar
holla.
D-Menace.
Raiders.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yep.
you guys for having me. I hope you have a good night.
You too. So appreciate
Love
everybody.
y'all. Much love. Peace. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you for having a Fellas Night Out with us. Thank you.
Fellows post one lady.
Yep. You know, it's hopefully for everybody. You know, we want everybody. Thank you, Scott, too, for showing up. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate that. Definitely adding a lot of good takes. And until the next episode, fellas, we are Gizon.
All we're missing is transgender, right?
I think that's the only thing I think we haven't had, you know, and in certain races, we're going to add some different races too, you know, because it's like I said, this show is going to be for everybody.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because we all like
Everybody.
we all bleed the same way, silver and black, hopefully, but mostly red.
All right, peace, much love, yo.
For
Appreciate
sure.
y'all having me.
Y'all be easy.
Yeah,
For sure.
thanks for
Appreciate you, Rebel. Yes, sir.
All right.